Why am I zoomed in? Am I zoomed in right now? What the fudge? Why is it so zoomed in right now? Okay. So I was just in the garage of a companion's house. And I'm speaking like a moron right now, but I'm doing it for a good reason. Because I think the concept that I'm about to discuss requires a bit of old English in order to, keep controlled in a way. Pretty much, I'm really starting to disbelieve the idea of evolution. And not necessarily the function of evolution. I think that evolution is just a function that exists. What I'm starting to disbelieve is the the kind of story that's been written around evolution, the tale that's been told about it. Because the tale that's being told has has pretty dark implications that I just don't think are truly possible in the long term. I mean, you're talking about. I mean, if we were to take organisms, if we were to take flesh out of the equation and just make it look like a computer program, what's occurring is a bunch of different creatures are trying to objectively. What the fuck? Why are my earphones broken? How the fuck did that happen? How could that have fucking happened? Seriously. God damn, dude. That doesn't even make any fucking sense, bro. Oh my fucking god, dude. What the fuck is it, bro? So pretty much, if we were to pull flesh away from the equation and put it into a computer program and see it as just coding on a computer, what's occurring is that things are in some sort of objective existential competition to become more effective at being alive than everything else. And the reason that I think that this is kind of impossible in the long term is because a system like that could never maintain itself forever. A system that is entirely designed around organisms existing solely to exist better than other organisms sounds so unrealistically impossible, but that it's almost like a child's nightmare more than it is like a realistic idea of existence. It sounds like it sounds like pretty much a boogeyman underneath the bed more than it does a realistic take on what being alive is. Um, I mean, some of the implications that it has. Because, I think there's something to be said about trying to explain everything. And ultimately, when you have the goal of trying to explain everything, you kind of lose your ability to explain anything in a weird way. Which sounds like nonsense, and it really is, but shit, I mean, I just tried to explain everything just now, so it's gonna sound like nonsense because you can't explain everything. Ah, my fucking head, bro. So it's just one of those things where I just don't believe in it anymore. And I don't not believe in it. I think it makes sense that we would be given the opportunity to make ourselves better over the long term. That makes sense. It's the idea that that's all life is that's frustrating because it's not. It can't be. That system would have already crashed on itself and we wouldn't be here. Like if it was inevitably going to fail, it would have just failed in general. Sitting here and roaches are trying to get into my friend's garage, right? And Honestly, I had a discussion with this. I had a discussion about this with a guy that I met at a nightclub, and his take on it. Once he finally understood why I was saying I didn't agree with the idea of evolution, as it was being described academically, was that his takeaway was it's probably being used as a form of justification for predation. It's probably being used by people who have toxic and in community mindsets to justify their hostile behaviors towards others. They can justify their behaviors if they can make the claim that their behaviors are just the natural order of the world. It's something that's being used as an implication to justify people's hostile and quite frankly fucked up behavior. And you know, I just feel like we're smart enough not to let people do that. That's what I think. I think we're smart enough not. Have I been blocking the mic this entire time? It's gonna piss me off, bro. I swear. Sometimes it just feels like we're all trapped in a game of trying to justify every decision we make as if we're gonna die if our decisions don't make sense to everybody else. And not only if they don't make sense to everybody else, but if they don't make more sense than everybody else's decisions. And, that game kind of stops existing the second you take in the fact that we're not all living the same life. You know, not everybody is some fucking African American kid who doesn't care about being African American, fucking trying to master something on the piano that isn't widely recognized as a masterable talent. That's something that only I'm gonna ever be experiencing. Not every kid likes exactly what I like, makes exactly the decisions that I make. Not every person, we're all living in too far different contexts. Sorry, too far differentiated of context. It really doesn't matter how I say that. I'm saying the same thing. It's just the differentiation. It's almost like adding the details, adding extra details attacks extra points in the context, in the concept. Context or concept, pretty much. It's the same thing. I don't think everything needs an explanation. Not until it starts causing other people harm. And usually we can measure harm. Like we can measure that. We can note what's causing what to happen. I mean, obviously there's going to be speculation as to how we can cause that to happen, but that's irrelevant. If I know that pressing this button causes somebody else pain, I'm just going to stop pressing this button. I don't need to know how it does that. I don't need to look into the science of how it does that. I just need to stop pressing that button. Like, to me, it just feels like it's that simple sometimes. And, this is coming from a guy that gets accused of overthinking everything. If I'm blocking my mic right now, I'm going to be so angry. I'm going to be so angry, bro, because I feel like I just said some really cool shit. And of course, the mic will be blocked the second I'm going to say it.